an educated young person. I know that drugs are bad, drugs are harmful, but what I really want to know is, why do people become addicts?
I started smoking pot when I was 12 years old. It seemed harmless enough, and that progressed. Probably alcohol at about 14. Smoking pot was a daily thing by the time I was 15, 16 years of age. Alcohol every weekend, and then by the time I was 17 and leaving year 12, I was into sort of the more chemical sort of stuff.
I met these two guys which I knew from New Zealand, and well, they were into drugs, so they said, "Do you want to come and join us for a joint?" I said, no way. Just have a puff. If you don't like it, don't have any more. So I had that puff and I liked it.
I started drug taking when I was about 15, 16. A lot of my friends were well and truly into smoking marijuana at that point, and I guess I was a bit of a late bloomer. I grew up in a home that was very straight, Christian home, good upbringing, loved my family, a very close-knit family. But when everyone else is using and doing, the temptation's there to want to be part of it, want to be one of the boys, and eventually the temptation to experience that became a bit overwhelming.
Victim 3, Preston's mum, and this is his older sister Amy. Well, it was exciting. It was exciting because it was the night of his ball, and he was all dressed up, and obviously a lot of people have also seen the last kiss that he gave me on my cheek, and he said, "I love you, Mum," and he was off to his ball. He was so excited, and all his friends were there. They had a gathering at a friend's house, and there was many kids there, all celebrating the same things. And from what I heard, they all had a great time at the ball. His dad went and picked him up and dropped him off at the place where they were supposed to stay at the afters to party and have a good time.
I'm 16. I came into the S Foundation when I was 14. I came in for alcohol, drugs, fighting, missing school, all this.
People that aren't so sporty, for example, or the classic type of group of kids that you go through high school that aren't so motivated for sport or confident with sport tend to sort of withdraw and go to the fringes, and then they tend to get connected with other similar type of individuals who tend to make those choices of going down the alternative pathways, you might say.
But what I'd really like to know is, what are the effects, long-term and short-term, of people taking drugs?
I got onto trips, which is acid, ecstasy, a lot of alcohol, and also crystal meth in the end, which became a real big problem in my life. I've got a mental illness now, suffer from depression, anxiety. I'll take medication probably for the rest of my life for it. I've got arthritis. I started getting paranoid psychotic delusions, where I'd be seeing like beehives in the corner of my room, and I'd empty a whole can of fly spray at it, and all I'd see was dripping liquid from the corner of your room, and the beehive's still there and still active.
I had nothing. I'd been kicked out of my house for non-payment of rent. I'd been couch surfing. I was basically homeless. I was stealing dog food to feed my dogs. I don't think I was eating. And just manipulating and stealing from everyone around me.
Financial effects, I'm in 20 grand debt now. This is 9 years after I've given up.
I think when I went into detox in 2009, the night before I went in, I had $12 in my pocket, and I spent that at a bar that night, and then tried to encourage other people to buy me drinks and that at the same time. Financial, I had nothing.
Yeah, my teeth had been destroyed. It didn't happen straight away. 9 years after giving crystal meth up, sort of started happening then.
Although at the end I was pretty fat and bloated and didn't feel good about myself. I had probably about 8 teeth left in my head, lots of black stumps.
It's more the aftermath, it's more what happens after, you will always have certain smells that really trigger memories, and they're the sort of things that we got to live with afterwards, but it's part of our role being volunteers.
Illicit drugs are illegal, so if you are caught you will be charged. The implications in life further down the track is that it can affect your travel and it can affect your prospects of employment because you have a criminal record. And I know America, for example, is very strict on who it allows into the country, even for holidaying.
He had taken marijuana, but nothing of a synthetic nature, and it was unfortunate that what occurred to him, what was happening to him, his feelings of being out of control, of speaking a different language, of being very afraid to walk down the stairs, and that's where it started, his fear of even not knowing what to do under the circumstances of this drug that was just taking over his body, and he had no control. Even his friends who were trying to help him had no control of his strength and his mind.
I became very bitter and very angry. I was an angry person. I had no peace in my life, and the family home was quite toxic. So for me to go and get high was just, that was just an escape. It was really good, and I was making a bit of money on the side too, had a constant supply. So for me, it was just this double life, but it was hard because I'm always trying to hide from my family. I loved my mum and dad, and despite the dysfunction of the home, I still always wanted to please them, and I carried that guilt around with me. You know, the guilt of the sin and then the guilt of the drugs, and really I was living a double life.
But cannabis is certainly something that has pretty notoriously quick effects on impacting upon people's short-term memories, and those memory problems last for years.
As a teenager, growing up, there's all sorts of peer pressure out in the community, at schools, it's everywhere, it's a part of being a teen. So how is peer pressure linked to drug taking? Is it affecting kids these days?
I freaked out a bit, I felt really pressured, but of course it wasn't their fault. They weren't intentionally pressuring me, they were just being polite. But I really didn't want to, so I said no, in short. Went in there with them. The problem is with this club, everyone in there had dropped. Alcohol was not a big factor in any way.
Preston was a fairly strong character, and if he didn't want to do something, he would have said no, I think, don't you? Yeah. The thing is that when obviously these kids all get together and everybody's doing it, then they're going to do it. I know that there was a couple of the people that were in the same room, they denied it or pretended to take it and spat it out. Yeah. So there's a trick for everyone. So yeah, I think peer pressure has a lot to do with it, to try and fit in with everybody. Preston was his own character and he was a strong character. People probably would have tried to tend to fit in with his nature and character because he was so popular. Because I think it was more, I'm going to have a really good time, good fun, because it's the night, the ball, and I've got to sort of buckle up and start my studies after this.
I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, just falling into boys, and they were using drugs, so I thought it was cool to use drugs.
Understand the consequences, understand where it's going to lead. Don't do it just because of peer pressure. Don't do it at all, would be my firm understanding. Peer pressure is a big thing. It guides a lot of young people these days, but what they need to understand is once you get hooked into it, it's very hard to get out.
All I've got to say is make it up, make a story. Say, your job relies on you not being caught with drugs in your system. Yeah, just don't get in the car with someone who's been drink driving. Just refuse to get in the car.
Yeah. It's probably one time where you could almost get away with saying it's okay to lie, You see someone who's considering driving and they're mucking around with their friends and getting organised about getting in the car, go up and grab the keys, shove them in your pocket. No, I don't know where the keys are. It's, prevent that from happening.
Through seeing the people that I've interviewed and through making the Above the Influence film, I have realised that it would be extremely tough to get out of the drug world once you're in it. It seems that the people that I've spoken to, the people that I've met through this journey, have struggled a lot because of that one time in the beginning when they did take drugs, and then the next, and then the next after that.
Mum ended up saying that, son, I love you because you're my son, but I don't like you who you are as a person. And it really hurt. So that was about 2 weeks after then the two people come to my door and decided to change my life. To me, I was Christians coming to my door, knocking on my door, letting them inside. No way, that's not for me. And I feel that these two people that knocked on my door cared enough to tell me what I was really like. And they said, oh, well, look at you. And I said, what do you mean, look at me? And she says, well, you don't look too good. And I said, what do you mean? They said, when you show you to yourself in the mirror. And basically, yeah, I humoured them. They took me down to the bathroom, said, turn around, look at yourself in the mirror, and basically didn't recognise the person standing in the middle of the two guys that walked in the door. And I was looking at me, and that was the guy that I didn't recognise, and I was a bit scared at that time and a bit worried, and I broke down in tears, and I've become a new person. Still not healed, because I've got a lot of debt I need to sort out, a lot of health problems I need to sort through, but I'm on the mend. It's the main thing.
Preston passed away just over a year ago from catastrophic head injuries, but that was a subsequent from a fall which he had, and after taking LSD drugs, synthetic drugs I should say. He just decided that he would run off the balcony, and rather than run or walk down the stairs, because the fear of walking down the stairs was stronger than maybe just jumping. Yeah, there's no doubt at all that Preston would still be here today if he hadn't have taken that particular drug and all the amount that he took.
Turning point, it was a few things. A couple of feeble attempts at suicide, which were probably more cries for help. I had a 3-month waiting period where I managed to stay clean for 6 weeks for the first time since I was about 12. And then I relapsed, and they were still kind enough to let me in. And from there I spent 9 months in that rehab trying to change basically, well, they say I only had to change one thing, and that was everything. Yeah, so, and that was the big turnaround for me. One of my biggest fears was that life was going to be boring, and it's not. And I travel in that now, and I look at it and go, I don't know how I found time to use drugs. My life is that busy now.
You know, I realised I couldn't go on like this. I was living this double life, and I just didn't want to do it anymore, and I wanted to live true to myself. I had other junk in my life that also had to go, so drugs was one of those things, and I just put it all in the fire. I burnt it all, and I had victory over it straight away, fortunately. I was very thankful, because I know a lot of other people that's still struggling with it.
What would be really interesting to know is, how do people deal with their stress? Instead of taking drugs, what do they do?
Lucky as a bodyboarder and being able to go in the ocean every day, that's really a natural high in itself. And it's not until you're withdrawn from bodyboarding, when you have forced to have a break or there's no waves, that you really realise how much the ocean can give you, and how much a good bodyboarding session can give you that natural high. Because even as people doing sports and things like skating, to have this outlet where we can go out and just really push our body and come out of it at the end of the day being exhausted and so satisfied. And when you have that feeling of being surfed out or so exhausted from doing something really physical and really rewarding, you don't really have that crave to go and wreck yourself and be do destructive behaviour like doing drugs or excessive partying.
Find something you enjoy, something that doesn't involve forgetting and forgetting stuff. Like listen to music, go surfing, do something healthy and active.
Like ride a bike or...
Fresh air always helps you wake up and it just makes you feel so much better.
Yeah, like when you're stressed, go for like a bike ride or go down the shop or like kind of just, school isn't everything, so you need to have a break.
Probably used to journal more than I do now. I was journaling quite heavily at the beginning. Now I do it less and less, which is it's probably a thing I could pick back up, which I found really helpful was to write stuff down because my head is full of crap and it talks to me really badly, and if I can write some of that out it helps a lot.
Oh look, it's very hard. Once you get addicted to drugs, it's like being addicted to cigarettes or addicted to alcohol. It's a very hard habit to kick. You really do need to get some help, but you try not to get to that stage. Youth today have so much more things they can do. They don't need to do drugs. They can involve themselves in the community and they can have a lot more fun. You don't need to use drugs to have fun.
Through this journey I have met some really incredible people, and now at the end of their journeys they have some really great parting messages that everyone should see.
I just say get out of it as fast as you can, because it's not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to take you to down the wrong road. And
such a danger. But no, I'd advise kids, they want to be part of the culture, part of the usage, but it does have an effect. It will get hold of you. It will affect your health. It will affect your relationships. And anyone that thinks they can just walk away, for some that does happen, but for many it will lead to other things, because soon it won't be enough. And if you're prepared to take one, then you're usually prepared to take something else. You think, oh, well, that didn't hurt, so I'll try something else. And who knows, you could take ecstasy once and it could knock you over.
A lot of the times you might come across where there is no other option but to take the drug, but if you don't see an option, look harder. There's always been another option to taking drugs. So yeah, don't do it.
I would advise against it. Try and just have fun while you're young, so that you will probably continue to grow older and share your family and your friends, because in the end we've lost Preston and he didn't get to do his year 12, he didn't get to study, get his license and get married, have kids. So the consequences are quite severe. Some people can get away with it and are really lucky, but you just don't know when that one will be the one that will take your life and or somebody else's.
Don't. I'll tell you what. Talk about the worst things that you've ever done in your life. Touching drugs was mine, and it should be yours, because it'll ruin you. It'll ruin your family. It'll ruin everything that ever loved you. It'll ruin. I'm just lucky I got it before it ruined me totally. A lot of people can't get out of it early enough, and if I can help by telling my story, don't take it. I beg of you, don't destroy your life, because it will destroy you. Take it from one drug addict, and don't do it. It's, best thing I ever did was get off drugs, and the best thing ever you could do was never touch them. And it's the parting message that I'll give to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
I guess my parting message for all the teens out there is you do have your own choice and your own path to go down, but I think you should gather all information and see the consequences before you do make that choice.